This episode is brought to you by HK Army. The tournament season is right around the corner, and there's a ton of teams out there who still haven't finalized their 2023 gear sponsorships. Well, look no further, PTG fam. HK Army is offering team sponsorships along with custom designed team jerseys, pants, dry fits, gloves, and more. Get your squad in matching gear head to toe from HK Army, and be sure to let them know that PTG Podcast sent you. To get your team sponsored, simply email teams@hkarmy.com and ask for the HK Army sponsorship program. That's teams, Teams, at hkarmy.com to kick off the 2023 season in style with HK Army. This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram @LoneWolfPB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. Today's episode of PTG is brought to you by the one and only Trans Labs that brought the world two amazing products. First off, Transfuse, which is a hydration multiplier, and most recently, they just dropped Transcend, which is a nootropic energy formula. No matter what you use, when you choose Trans Labs, you are going to be boosted and you are going to be ready to charge the paintball field and win out there. With Transfuse, that is a premium rapid hydration multiplier and immunity fortifying formula scientifically designed to replenish you at the cellular level. And they use all natural ingredients in this product. We've got zinc, we've got vitamin B6, we've got vitamin C, sodium, potassium, choline, and it is an amazing way to make sure that you're hydrated and prepared to play top-level paintball. When it comes to Transcend, that is a premium nootropic energy formula designed to increase cognitive performance, elevate mood and clarity while supporting long-term brain health, and it's going to leave you feeling great with no crash or jitters. It's one of the only products in the nootropic space backed by research studies to ensure the formula is correct for optimal performance. It is more potent than anything on the market, and it will keep you charged and ready to win out there. I take one scoop, but if you're stimulant sensitive, take a half scoop. And if you want that LFG dose to launch to the moon, dump 2 scoops in your drink and you are going to be flying down that paintball field. Comes in 2 delicious flavors, Baja Blast and Skittles Candy for the Transcend. And for the Transfuse, they have 2 new flavors as well, Pineapple Express and Hawaiian Punched. So if you get a chance, head over to translabs.com. That's TRANZLABS.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME and you'll get 10% off. If you subscribe to a monthly delivery service, you also get 10% off as well. So you can take advantage of 20% off on these products. Head over to translabs.com and give it a go.
What's going on, PTG Nation? We are back from the WCPPL event. Tyler's back from the BKI Summer Camp, and we have so much awesome information and news to share with you guys. Nick Leival joins us to talk UFOs. They had a crazy encounter out in Boston. You guys are going to want to wait until the end of the episode to hear all about that. And the Vegas Golden Misfits walked away with the dub. So, exciting stuff. And without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcello Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
Came out with 2 wins. Marcello Margot was on fire.
What's going on, PTG world? We are back from a huge weekend. Tyler was out in Boston for the summer camp. This was the 6th inaugural summer camp event. Huge weekend out there. And I just got back from the WCPPL. We had the 3rd event, my Kinman's League out at Ambush Paintball Park. And the team, Vegas Golden Misfits, the boys got the dub this weekend. It's pretty big time in the Premier Division. We got a lot going on, though. What's happening, T?
Love that. Yeah, baby. We're back from
Let's
camp.
go.
It was
Let's
amazing
go.
out on the East Coast, and congrats to shout out to Vegas taking home the W.
Shout out to Vegas one time.
On the East Coast out in Boston, we had 47 people joining us for summer camp, and it was 5 days of nonstop paintball action, learning from the basics, obviously, of the fundamentals to how we're supposed to play paintball games and connect with each other out there, which is really the biggest thing, applying pressure, connecting, and building the picture, which I'm sure you saw some reels. We were talking about that during the weekend, but it was a great weekend and we had a lot of fun. I got in super late last night. We're running an early, kind of morning show. So we're having a good time and people are enjoying paintball, man. You could see it in all these different pockets across the country of America right now. We even had, the Hormesis 1v1 going on in Texas this weekend. We had the Dub C on the West Coast, and then we had summer camp on the East Coast. So across the nation, tons of paintball getting played.
Yeah, man, it's really awesome to see. Paintball seems like it's thriving. It's doing really well. Summer camp looked amazing. I was definitely bummed not to be there. First one that I've missed. Seemed like it was a younger crew this time too, younger attendees, which is really cool. That's the future of the game. So it's always nice to be able to connect with the young players out at summer camp.
We missed you out there. Honestly, It's not the same without you out there. And half of the camp, like you said, was, probably 15, 16 or below. So a lot of hungry young paintball players who are getting the proper information early, which is amazing. Sometimes you can work at it for 6, 7, 8 years and be kind of doing maybe not the most proper routes to the goal. So it's good that we're able to give them that info early.
Yeah, I totally agree. It sets the foundation for the rest of their career instead of, spending years building bad habits like you talked about. That's why the summer camp is so great. And the coolest thing is those kids are going to have connections with all of you and past summer camp attendees have connections with all of us from that time on. So, we end up, I even kind of mentioned this in the video that I left all the campers, Thursday morning, is that it's really unique and cool how it has allowed us to build these connections with the players. And we see you guys at tournaments. We get to, we're happy to help. We want to see you guys do well. We want to see you guys, progress through your paintball journey. And summer camp is a great way to bridge that gap. So yeah, really, really just an awesome venue. How was the food? Well, you know what? I think
God, woo, top tier, top tier.
Yeah. Before we actually get into summer camp, let's bring in our first guest of the show this morning. We got none other than Nick Leival.
What's up, boys?
Let's go, dude.
BKI buddies.
Brother?
Yeah.
I heard Tyler a little bit. I'm pretty tired. I got back at like 2 a.m. last night, but life never stops.
Brutal.
So let's go.
It doesn't.
Let's send it.
I will say that's the really nice thing about WC is we start on Friday. It's a 2-day event. So we walk the field on Thursday. The tournament starts Friday and then we're done Saturday. So I got home super late Saturday night, but it's nice to have a Sunday at home.
Dude,
it's like,
by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you,
awesome.
brother.
Like,
Appreciate
crushing it with those guys. Really showing the value of having a good coach and like the consistency out there. And I'm always rooting for my boy Cam. So, I got two guys that I'm rooting for over there. We had the WC playing a little bit at the summer camp. So we got to see like what you guys were dealing with. And it was pretty cool. So I was pumped that you guys did it again.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. I'm stoked for the guys. They, bumped up from Division 3 last year, and Premier Division is a really tough division. There's pro players in it, a lot of semi-pro players. Like, it's a tough division. So to win 2 back-to-back for the guys is really huge. Everyone stepped up and played really well. Cam is dynamite. We've talked about him a bunch. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Just a great mind for the game, a real student. You've worked with him a ton. Obviously, you helped him train for the Hormesis one-on-one tour that he won out in Ohio, the very first one. Obviously, we have Ben Slofer on the team as well, who's just an absolute weapon. He has just athletic superiority over anybody in the league. He's like
Don't talk about him. Just don't talk about him. Yeah, just keep it under wraps.
I think the cat's out of the bag on that one,
But there's so many of those kids right now, and like being at the summer camp is really cool to see like that whole age group like just stunting when it comes to fundamentals. One of my favorite things about the camp is the team that won with Sloviak's team. was a bunch of the older Canadian dudes. And, you know, it just shows that, like, you know, you can go as far as you want with fundamentals, but in the end, you know, you've got to have that sort of like man mentality. And so I was pumped that like the experience won a little bit, even though like on paper, you're like, okay, well, if we were going to do the combine, all these kids would be crushing the numbers.
Right.
These old dudes know how to be patient. They know how to talk. Yeah. It's
well,
cool.
that goes back to what we've talked about a lot. You know, a long time ago, I noticed in clinics, we would start out with snap shooting and we would just be shooting targets, and certain players would step up and you would watch them with their fundamentals, how quick they would be and how accurate they'd be to hit the target every time, super efficient, really quick in their movement, you know, not exposing themselves. And you're like, wow, this is the best gunfighter here. But as soon as you start playing points, they're the first one to die and continuously lose gunfights. I'm like, what's going on? And it's the experience of the gunfight and training yourself to actually understand the rhythm and the timing and you know, see the paint coming in, dodge the paint, come out. There's a whole nother thing to winning gunfights. And I argue now that it's more important, the whole gunfight logic and understanding the rhythm and the timing, more so than the accuracy and the speed. That stuff's important. Obviously you have to have that, but the timing and the rhythm of a gunfight, that's everything.
Yeah, and when to and when not to. And I think that like everyone has the wants to lean on their best skill. And you know, if your skill is gunfighting, then you want to apply it everywhere. And that's not necessarily the case. So like having the experience to be like, I should not be gunfighting right now is something that really separates it. And so like if you have a guy that's, you know, not necessarily great at gunfighting, but he's doing it when he needs to, he might become a more consistent player through a match. And so, that's the thing that needs to be translated to the younger guys. And then it's almost like the fundamentals for the older group kind of went out the window a little bit. And so they're catching up, and it's just like everyone's evening out, and we got some really good games ahead of us.
Were. It was really fun to watch. And Nick, how do players know when to gunfight or when not to gunfight?
That's a good point. I actually, like, one of my very first BKI videos was a breakdown about that. And something that you were really stressing at the camp that I loved was like the clock dictates everything. It starts with the clock. Time is number one. And I sort of broke it down into even further. So it's like the clock, then the score, then your bodies, then your positioning, and sort of there's a long list of things that really tell you when to gunfight and when not to gunfight. And you have to have the whole picture to know all those things. And so that's why we stress a lot about how to build the picture. But there's a lot that goes into when you should and when you shouldn't. And so it's a little bit complicated, but
it is.
There's a method to it for sure. And so like, go check out one of those videos. I think that describes it pretty well. But otherwise, like, there's no harm in getting really good at gunfighting. And so, you know,
totally
stress that completely.
I know me personally, you know, I feel like I have a great snapshot, but like you said, Nick, it's something that is all timing. You know, it's not something that you want to be just because you feel like, oh, I'm a great gunfighter. You don't want to be gunfighting all the time. You really have to play the situation like you talked about, and you laid it out perfectly. You have to run through that gambit of information, weigh it out, look at what's going on around you, and then decide, okay, is it worth the risk? And you actually managed that really well this weekend at the summer camp. And shout out to all the professors. We have such a great group, including Marcello. I know he wasn't there this year, but even you had a video that the campers were able to watch, and like getting them ready for that very first day. You were on the screen talking to them. You know, we even, like Nick said, we were watching a video of your guys' squad at the camp. We'll come back from the field and do homework, you know, watch a video,
awesome.
talk about stuff and all that. So shout out to everybody.
Dude,
that was
such a grind. Like
it is.
Paintball from 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. is 10. A grind.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Last night we went till 10.
Damn. Yeah. When did you guys draft teams this time? Anthony was talking to me. You guys were talking about doing it Friday night. Did you do it Friday or did you do it Saturday?
Saturday.
We did it Saturday.
Saturday. Okay. Yeah. That's the move. You got to see him play. You got to see him play on Saturday. I think that's an important part of, you know, the whole process.
And we even ran like a little, you know, we got some squads together, watched them play paintball, and then Saturday night we drafted. But Nick went over really well was risk management, managing your risk out there and knowing when to risk, when not to risk.
The clock and the score tells you that.
Yeah,
I love that
absolutely.
Nick brought up that you mentioned that, Ty, and we're preaching that at camp, because I've been preaching that to the Vegas guys the last few, well, since I've been working with them, but but especially the last few weekends. So at practice, we run simulated matches. We do just 6-minute matches, and it doesn't really matter that it's a short, little amount of time. The point is that at the end of the match, somebody's going to be up 1-0 or 2-1, and you're going to have to either protect a lead or fight back, which is how the end of pretty much all matches go, especially on Sunday. And that's been something that has been really frustrating when we're not executing those situations the right way. You're making moves when you shouldn't be, or not making moves when you should be. The clock tells you, the clock and the score tells you exactly what you're supposed to do in those moments. So just understanding that is going to help you be a infinitely, better paintball player.
Absolutely. And it was really cool to have Kyle Berry there this time, because I always like to, he was asking a lot of questions and he has a lot of knowledge, and he's like, he's like us, like forever hungry, and learning from each other. And a lot of the questions that he was asking were pretty interesting, because something I sort of realized is like all of us have this agreement on like this almost like gentleman's way to gunfight. It's like, well, this guy's going to gunfight during these times, and I shouldn't be gunfighting. Like we all have this like same understanding of what we're talking about here, but within that like middle ground, there also is like where the individual variance comes. Like, for example, we were doing island drills, and Tyler was very much on getting that island guy to push down the field at certain points. And, there's like, we have like two different groups, some that are more experienced and some aren't. And then like some of the less experienced groups, I'm like telling the island guys, don't move at all. Don't move at all. Let's start with the basics. And then like, Tyler's teaching that higher level that like, you need to know how to play rock before you can play rock, paper, scissors. And Tyler was teaching some of the other guys, paper beats that rock. Because sometimes, when you leave that island guy uncontested, that guy should be flying up the field and winning the game. And so it was cool to sort of have that like really apparent difference in the way that those little in-between moments are viewed. But but then at the same time, having that big agreement on like the overall picture, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I love like working together like that, because like, we can kind of hit on different people's strengths and weaknesses in those in-betweens.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, there's no absolute, it's hard when you're teaching the game, because there is a time where you just throw it all out the window, but it's an educated decision on when it's time to throw it all out the window. Like you're definitely running a lot of different variables, but you're right. First, you need to know how to execute the higher percentage plays majority of the time. You got to understand the fundamentals, because that's the only way that you can ever really know when you should bend the rules, right? Because when you're bending the rules, it's usually because you're thinking this player assumes that I'm going to do this, right? So they're set up for that. So I need to go a different route. They think that I'm the only one on this side, so I'm just going to sit here. So they're, looking crossfield where we have two bodies. Now's my chance to drop the hammer. It might be a small window, but certainly
100%. Yeah. I think you and I see a lot of things really similar. And I actually have this like unreleased thing that I have been writing for a while, that is like how to get good at something. And like, I want to apply it to different versions of my life. But like one of the first things is learn the rules, like 100%. I mean, like the rules of like literally read the rule book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you learn all the high percentage plays, and then you learn when you can bend the rules. And I think that like a system like that can apply anywhere, like whether you're, I don't know, trading stocks and stuff like that. Like you've got to learn the high percentage plays, and then like learn where the risks are worth it. And so like trying to fill that out, the ending part, to where it like is very concise, but that's the beginning anyway. So
I love it. My thought on that. I love that. That's a great idea. I look forward to it. I'll read it as well. That's awesome. Tremendous. I think you're right. It is kind of the blueprint to being really good at almost anything.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But like, then there's the work part, which is the worst part. So you got to do it,
You got to do the work. Yeah. None of it comes together without doing the work. That's for sure.
And I love what you say about bending the rules, because essentially what you're doing at that level is you have it mapped out so well, and probably so does your opponent, that you're playing at a really high IQ level. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do on the paintball field in business, is to outsmart your opponent and come out on top. So
high Q is right. That's legit. High Q, baby. Is the high Q.
Well,
I like
the
it.
next transfuse brand.
Yeah, exactly.
PTG
Oh,
IQ.
There you go. Take it. Run with it. So
Nice.
you got to outsmart out there. You know, you got to really outsmart your opponents. And once you get to a certain level, what didn't work will work. And maybe a side shuffle is better than a step forward. And these different things will start to apply themselves naturally as you're at that higher level of processing all the information. But it's really interesting to see it from that perspective, you know, and being able to press the envelope and make new decisions where maybe you would rather or would normally make that, you know, perfect decision, quote unquote.
Yeah, something interesting is like, you know, having a lot of really participating parents at the summer camp, which is really cool, like some really supportive parents. And this was the first group that was very well aware and were vocal about and trying to figure out how a lot of things that work in pro and the games that happen in pro don't look the same at all when it comes to divisional. And like, I agree, that's completely true. And I think that like, it's because almost across the board in pro, everyone knows all the high odds play,
the high Q
and the high Q, and then they're bending rules. And like, where in divisional, there's let's say half the team is playing high IQ, and then the other half is sort of like rolling the dice. And so like, there's less ability to bend the rules because people aren't playing as consistently. The rules are sort of like being broken all the time.
Yeah.
And so like,
playing by the rules will give you the best advantage at winning, you know?
100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, that's what we're really trying to teach, I think, is like getting you to play the high odds stuff so that then you can bend it, and bending it's the most fun. And that's when we're all like, oh dude, that was a dope move.
Yeah.
Like good moves come from bending the rules, you know? But then like breaking the rules, like that's when you're like, oh, like that was a terrible move. Why did you do that? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, up 2 points, up a body, and you try to go bunker 2 people and get a penalty. Why did you leave your spot? What did you do that
me
for?
in your match. I did that. We were up 2 points. Didn't get a penalty, thank goodness. But I tried to bend the rules a little bit, and you know that was a big swing in our last event because I didn't have the full picture. I thought Archie was on the outside of the snake, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get a 2-piece right here. I'm going to bunker Harrison. I'm going to trade with Archie. But Archie had slipped back inside, and so that was me making a huge mistake of like not fully knowing the full situation. I was misinformed in a way. And so like, even though if the information was correct, it would have been a great move. It's a terrible move from the perspective of what the situation actually was.
You know what I mean?
Was a rule
yeah,
break,
right. Totally.
You know?
And the rule break isn't necessary in a moment like that.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You want to break the rules when it's necessary. Down points, down bodies, break all the rules. Throw the whole book out the window. Try to do something, you know?
March,
yeah, it is such a fine line there. Go ahead.
You know John L. from
of
camp?
Of course. Yeah.
Amazing young paintball player.
Yep.
We had a situation just like this at camp where we set up a 3 versus 5 situation. The 3 obviously just have to hold and make sure they don't get to the buzzer. The 5 are trying to press, and they have a minute and 30. And John L. and his squad had already eliminated 2 players and had great positioning. And then
was John L. on the 3 side? Okay,
that's correct. Yeah, and he can't turn that go off.
Yeah,
you know? So he went and just fully sent it from the snake side, tried to cut the inseam, gets shot by the middle 50 player, and then proceeds to shoot the snake player with a hit on him, so gets a penalty, and lands on his tank and knocks the air out of himself. It just all went completely
trifecta.
Yeah. And it's all because you know that's so interesting, Ty, too, because with my guys, and we have a player on the Misfits. Shout out to Alex Barker. I love working with him. He's 21 years old, an absolute stud, just tons of raw talent. I don't think he's ever had, you know, any refined coaching. He's just naturally good at the game. He has great vision, really good fundamentals. But it's like in practice when we're doing these matches, we'll be up points and then get up bodies, and he'll send it and like make a great move too. I'm like, man, look, that was an amazing paintball move. Like IQ wise, amazing paintball move, but it's the wrong move right now. I just need you to understand it. And he's like, I know at the tournament I won't, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, practice it now. We're doing these matches for a reason, right? And I've explained exactly that. One, you could accidentally get a penalty. Sometimes the refs make a bad call.
Definitely.
Two, what if you pull a hamstring on the move? Like, it's an unnecessary movement, you know? He's like, I'm 21. You're old. Stop talking to me like that. You know, I'm like, I hurt myself when I was 21, you know, like that's when my injuries happened. So it's exactly that. And in that one move, it sounds like all those things happened that John Hell did, you know?
It was crazy. I
Yeah.
was holding him in my arms, and he's like gasping for air, and I'm like sitting it up, and I'm like, you okay? Obviously checking on him, making sure he's okay. And then once he got his air and was able to think a little bit more about what happened, I took him to the side and explained exactly why we don't want to do that. And then it was like this light bulb went off in his head. And from that point forward, he's playing differently. And I could see a big shift in his awareness of, you know, because he learned the really hard way. I mean, he was on the ground. Like, I didn't see him fall. So I ran around the 50 because I was like going to check on him, and I see him just laid out flat on the ground, just like gasping for air. So I pick him up, obviously, get him so that he can breathe better. And
it's
then
good that you gave him a second off to think to recover before you gave him the info. And also, like, you fucked up, by the way.
But he is, and let me make this clear, he is an amazing paintball player. How old is he? 15?
No, dude, he's like 13.
Is he?
John L is like 13. He might be 14. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not older than that.
I think
it's
he's
crazy.
Somewhere right in there, and he's extremely talented. So don't get it twisted, because he's an animal.
Oh yeah,
it's just
he is.
He's
on Team USA, the U16 squad. So I'm glad he learned some of those lessons with you there. That's huge. I mean, it's a 3-on-5. You shoot 2 people. It's funny. It's like that's when the moment shifts. As soon as you get those 2 kills, it's like, okay, the heavy lifting is done. Now, like, let's do the discipline part, right? You got to kind of play a little loose, maybe initially, to like try to get a kill on one of those guys and even it up a little bit. But once you even it up, don't take the risk, you know? You could have just so many things that go wrong, as obviously it seems like all 3 of those things did go wrong. I got to give Alex some love too. We've said this before on the show, that Alex that I'm talking about, he is the world famous slide cancel guy that you see on the ESPN, all the social media that they've shared of paintball clips. That's who it is, which is pretty cool. I didn't find that out until like after a year of working with him. I'm like, wait, that was you? You know, it's hilarious. He's
sweet. The biggest in the
I
world.
like that they're calling it slide cancel.
I know. I like it too.
Yeah.
Good branding right there.
And for everybody that doesn't know out there on the East Coast, the professors were myself, Nick Slowiak, honorable mention with Marcello, who was also there, you know, coaching in spirit. And then we had obviously Nick Slowiak, Kyle Spica, and we had the man himself from the ML Kings, who we were talking about earlier.
Kyle Berry,
Kyle Berry.
Don't forget Greenspan.
And Greenspan, of course. Ryan was out there. So we had a good group of people running around, everybody having fun and playing some good paintball and learning. And we ended it with a tournament, which Nick Slowiak took the W on out there.
Dude, Nick, he did it.
Congrats.
He did it.
Dude, it was awesome.
Man, yeah, I love to see it.
Such a good game plan going into, and he really executed it with his drafts, like positionally, and you know, he built his whole game plan around his players individually. So he crushed it. You know, he didn't have like a preconceived idea of how to play the field, and then tried to make his players play it. You know,
I think that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. I see that way too often. Coaches try to make the players play the field the way they want the field to be played. Each team is going to have its own strengths and weaknesses, and I think it's really wise to play to your team's strengths, whatever it is, you know, and you can do that on every field. Put players in position to do well. And, you know, just because you have a snake player, maybe a snake on a certain type of field isn't like a traditional snake. And so maybe that player would be better suited on the Dorito side, you know, and vice versa. Just knowing like what kind of attributes and where your players are comfortable and building your game plan around that. That's what I always try to do. You know, like I have ideas of how I like to play the field, but I always ask like all the players on any team that I work with, are you guys comfortable with this? Do you like this? And I don't always, concede to what they are comfortable with and don't agree with, but it's very important to have that feedback and have players that are like doing things that they feel good about. Even on Dynasty, it happens often, like Ryan and I will get in a disagreement on something, on how a certain spot should be played. And at the end of the day, I'll say, you know what? I bet you in this spot could play it that way, and it's 100% right. But me in this spot, I need to play it this way, and it's 100% right. It's just we have different things that we're good at, that we like, that we see. So, maybe you should be in that spot. If the game plan calls for it doing that, it should be you. If it calls for it doing this, it should be me. And that's a really important thing to understand, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's an art in itself, because like it takes a little bit of emotional intelligence, and it also takes a little bit of conceding sort of what you believe is right, which is hard for a lot of people. And so like I think that yeah, the art of coaching, I think, is one of the things that makes paintball in general one of the hardest things. I can't think of a harder sport to coach than paintball, because it's like it's different every time. And there's so many random acts of, and you're trying to keep track of 10 guys on the field plus what the coach is thinking on the other side. Like, I think it's probably one of the most complex coaching jobs in sports, personally.
Yeah, so much respect to especially all the pro coaches out there that have to, deal with there's so many variables. Yeah, seriously, like there's so many variables going on. And we had a chance this weekend to do the coaching role. And so we're able to see it from their perspective as well, which helps round us out as a player too, because you have more empathy for your coach. You have more empathy for all the variables, because like you said, there's so many of them. And actually, it's funny. Shout out to PK. Pat Kraft was out there.
Oh, he did show up. Nice.
Yes, on Saturday.
Nice.
So he was our special guest along with the crew that we talked about. And he did some coaching, and it was pretty tough. He was like, dang, coaching is no joke. So it gives you a really good outlook on the entire game, not just as a player, but from the other side of the clipboard as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to be concerned and worried about all 10 pieces. You have to be worried about everything. And ideally as a player you are, right? But it's also a lot easier as a player to focus on your job, what you're doing, positionally.
Way easier.
Obviously
because you get to play the situation versus the hypothetical situation.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The coaches are playing like maybes, but like as a player, this is what you got.
That's what you do.
Deal with this.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, coaching, and even to me, it goes hand in hand, coaching or traveling overseas and guesting with teams and being like a player coach, right? Where you're responsible for the game plans, you're responsible for the whole team, and you're responsible for all the same things as the coach. Those two things will help you grow as a player tenfold, and I think we've recommended that since the start of this show, for a lot of the new players, new pro players, I should say. If you get a chance to travel to South America, Mexico, anywhere where you can play, where the talent isn't quite as good, so you can kind of be the alpha on the team, and you're responsible for, maybe here in the US, someone like Connor Kelly. I was really excited for him to play with the Bloodhawks because it's an opportunity for a player like that to go and be the leader, and then also kind of be a coach, and kind of be the one that everybody looks to. Where on Heat, he's the new guy. He's the one that's absorbing information and, learning and really just being a student. But when you go and can be the alpha in another country or, another area or another league and learn how to be responsible for everybody around you as well, it just makes you such a more well-rounded player.
Did Fedorov coach for them?
He did. Yeah, he did. So that scenario wouldn't be, quite the same, but, yeah,
well, on the field, but
totally.
I know what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
But like it's crazy the talent in WC right now. Like that event's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Premier Division is outside of semi-pro and XL, it's definitely the toughest division in the country, and you could even argue that it's as tough as the NXL semi-pro. I mean, PB Fit came and played in the WC Premier Division last year. So it's like that's the number one team.
I want to dive headfirst into WCPPL. I just want to round out the summer camp portion here with the winners that we had out there for biggest heart, most improved, best teammate, camp MVP. Obviously, the team coach winner was Nick Slowiak.
There we go, Nick.
Yeah.
There we go, Mr. Sloviak.
Bearded
And then we
bandit.
also had the tournament MVP, who was his star player on his team, which we'll name that as well. So the biggest heart was Bennett Martella. Shout out to Bennett.
Oh yeah, Bennett.
Yeah,
Pretzel boys.
Yeah. Most improved, we had Nathan Benyon and
Nice.
Matthew
Dude,
Saluti.
Marcello Benyon was on my Saturday team, and I had to pick him up for the Sunday team.
Yeah.
Marcello knows him because he was there like 3 years ago.
Yep.
Very, very green.
Yep.
And like he was out there making excellent counter punch moves. He was controlling guys with 2 pods, dude.
Wow.
Man, it's crazy what 2 years of working will do.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't remember where I've seen him since, but he's been to like 1 or 2 of the, maybe it was a combine, but I've seen him in between, and his progression has been insane. So he's definitely doing the work, and it's cool to see. It's nice to hear that he seems like he took another step here at summer camp.
Big time.
He's clocked in,
Nice.
and he got that most improved award. And that's another great thing about the camp is we all come together, we highlight players. Like I said, we do film at night where we videotape players playing, go over and talk about all that kind of stuff. So it's very in depth. So you get the most out of the training. And then Matthew Saluti, he's only been playing for about a year, but you could see after just a couple days of paintball with us, his entire game changed. The way he approached a bunker, the way he moved. It was really cool. He didn't have any tape on the tank. You know what I mean? Like so new that he didn't even know that you needed to keep the tank from slipping, So I wrapped that with some tape for him, got him all his tank taped up, and he was sending it out there. So shout out to Matthew.
You know what's weird? Maybe he's different now, but I feel like J-Rab doesn't play with tape on his tank.
No, he never has.
Yeah, it's weird, right? He like feels like it gets caught in his
slippery.
jersey. Yeah, likes it slippery.
Mm.
I've always noticed that. It's strange.
It's like holding a slippery fish, dude.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, but it works for him, obviously.
Obviously, he's one of the best in the world. We got the Rascal. He got the Rascal Award, Ashton Wright, and he was also a part of the winning team with Nick there. And Ashton was a little bit of a rascal the first night, and they were like rampaging because I don't know, they were so excited that like first night it was like noisy in the pavilion, and they were, I don't know, it was getting crazy. They were going wild. So he got the Rascal Award, but then ended up turning it around after a couple days of just watching how his attitude shifted and his work ethic shifted, and he was really clocked
beat
in.
up will do that to you for sure.
Yeah. So he got most improved. Shout out to Ashton. And best teammate went to Pat Patrick, and he's from the Northwest and is with Thomas Taylor's crew, and such a great kid. Way to go out there, Pat. You had a really strong weekend and were one of the best teammates out there, and so you got that award. And then we had Churro, which everybody knows, amazing guy. Churro was the best teammate, and Christopher DiGiorgio as well got the best teammate award. So shout out to them. And we got the camp MVP was Trey Reichart. He was just outstanding, playing well, taking his lumps, never getting flustered, always hungry for more information. And you could see that he was just the most valuable person in regards to not just the playing, because that's important, obviously, but the willingness to be uncomfortable, feel some pain, and grow from it, because that's the most important.
Awesome.
Yeah, he actually challenged Sloviak to a couple one-on-ones there, and they found time to do it, and so that was pretty cool. He wanted to know what it felt like to play against a guy with more experience, and a lot of those kids, they're used to using their fundamentals all over their divisional, and so like a lot of them came in very confident with themselves, and after watching one of their own sort of get roped over and over again by a guy that they thought was, maybe not at the top of his game, but like, dude, Nick Sloviak is deep with knowledge, and he suffers no fools. Let's just say that.
People don't understand the gap. That's just
Not
the thing.
even a little bit.
We talk about this all the time. It's like, if you take a high school football athlete and you compare him to an NFL football athlete, just by visually looking at them, you can visually see the difference in their route running, their size, their speed. You can visually understand the difference between the pros. But if you take a Division III player that has good fundamentals, at least, and looks crisp, and you take a pro player, they don't look that different. You can't really, the eye test doesn't work. So if you have 2 Division III players gunfighting with each other, it almost looks like 2 pro players gunfighting with one another. You can't totally see the difference. The difference is really in the rhythm and the timing, and you don't see it, but you certainly will feel it if you take that Division III player and put him against the pro player. And even from semi-pro to pro, the gap there is so much bigger than people understand, and that's why I actually don't agree. And I do think you'll probably push back on this, Nick, but I personally don't agree with the conversation of in one-on-ones in paintball, like it's anybody's game. It could be 50-50. I really don't agree with, a lot of people will say that. They're like, I just won't choose this gunfight. I'm taking pretty much any pro versus any Division III player 8 out of 10 times. Like, yes, they can win 1 or 2, but when you're talking about an actual
back on that at all.
Okay.
Like, I think
all
that
right.
like it's the closest percentage of chance that you've got, like over a regular full game with a lot of other randomizations. But like, if you're gonna play 10 in a row, you might get 1.
Right.
I'm just saying that, like, if you're gonna play one, that's your best chance of all time.
Totally.
But the more you add on, the bigger the separation is apparent.
Yeah. Totally. Cool. Glad we're on the same page with that one. Yeah. Because I just don't think people understand that. And that's why when we go to clinics, people are always like so confident in calling us out for one-on-ones. You're like, sure. I don't think you understand really what it is,
that's why you always got to do best of 3 of minimum. Minimum best of 3.
For sure. Unless you win the first one, then it's 1 and done. We're out.
Yep. So special thank you to Boston Paintball in Maynard for having us out there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Ant. Thank you, Carmen. Special shout out to Rye Guy and the media crew that they had out there, which was awesome. So it was a really great weekend.
Was the camp MVP on Nick Sloviak's team?
That's right. The camp MVP was, and it's close to my heart.
Camp MVP
I'm sorry.
The tournament MVP were different.
That's true. Camp MVP was different than the tournament. The tournament MVP was Landon, which is close to my heart because I've worked with him out in Texas quite a bit. So it was cool to see him step up in such a major way. And he was like a young Josh Davey, it looked like to me on that Dorito side wire, like just has that tall player style and good style in general.
Unstoppable over there, Marcello.
Yeah. And he was on Nick Sloviak's team.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
Nice. He was put in a lot of bad situations sometimes, and he was dipping and dodging, and his heart rate never went up. He was he believed it, and he did it. It was a really good show.
Nice.
I'm not sure if we can go back and watch, but like if that's possible out there, then I mean Landon really put on a good tournament.
Did they do a webcast for the tournament?
No, we have video. I think there is some video
that would have been so cool. They need to do the webcast because Anthony and Lori have the capabilities of broadcasting that. I think they do it for their league.
They definitely do.
Oh, that needs to happen next year. That would be epic.
Nice.
Make it a legit big time tournament.
Put a little extra pressure on the guys and girls out there.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
And you can see that they're nervous too in the morning, and it kind of shows a little bit. And then they wake up and they're like, okay, we're just playing paintball. And that's one thing I also want to hit on is don't get so caught up in the moment and get lost in time, because you might be somewhere else rather than right now, right here, where is the only place you can go and get the paintball wins out there. And what I had to tell my players as well, they would get so excited to like get in a gunfight because they're playing paintball, obviously. But in the format that we're playing, they have 2 pods. So I was like, just let them shoot at you. Just let them shoot as much as they want because they only have so much paint, So take a breath, be calm, be confident, connect with your teammates, and then start to make those moves if you can and get the comms going so you know what's going on out there. You can't hit them if you don't know where they're at. That's step 1. Yep.
I love
it was a good time.
Definitely can't hit them if you don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
Unless you get a nice lucky bounce shot.
There
were a lot of bounce shots on this field. I do want to I know you wanted to segue into WC, so this is a good segue there, Ty. But Mike, the last 2 tournaments, has used the X's. He's brought back the big X and the mini X's. I personally think the fields have been amazing. It brings back all the skill of the game, and it forces you to use your teammates in order to get into all the good spots. You have to earn getting into the snake. You have to earn getting down the field on the Dorito side. You have to shoot well off the break. You know, it highlights all of the things that I love about the game. How do you guys feel about the field layouts that he's had? I guess maybe this is the only one you guys have seen, but how'd you feel about it?
They look fun.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. It was really cool to be able to have a random team, but then be able to name bunkers very easily. There wasn't very many random bunkers, so like we called the center 50, the left, the right wedge, or snake wedge, or D wedge, D can, snake can, D corner, snake corner, back center. You know, there wasn't all like jumbled. It was very, you know, evenly mapped out, and there was outs for everything. Like it rewarded everyone. So if you were a good shooter, it was easy to keep a guy in a spot. If you were a good gunfighter, you could fight past it. If you were a good 2, you could get out behind your guy and help him. There was just like all of the things that are skill based, and I agree that was a really good layout to give every single position the opportunity to be a big part of a game plan.
Yeah, totally agree. Ty, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, it was cool. They had the ladder snake, and then it was nice that the corner behind the snake was a little inset, so those snake players could get more active on that wire. You saw some great gunfights going down, good moves around each knuckle, like really sneaky moves. And then you had a fun middle with a ton of big bunkers up there. So you could go up there, apply pressure, get creative. And we talked a lot about this at camp. Is this game is all about pressure and angles, obviously. But when a player applies pressure, say it's in the middle, it opens up these chambers of movement for your outsides, and then vice versa. Once you get those chambers moving, you get up the Doritos or the snake, then it frees up the middle or the D side or whichever area the pressure isn't at anymore. And you just have to play with that pressure. And the best teams in the world, and I know Dynasty, you know, Impact, Heat, all the top dogs, Damage, X Factor, they're all applying this pressure and playing this pressure game. And that's really what it comes down to. Once you figure out how to, you know, consistently be alive, connect, figure out the game, and press into the field, it turns into this big pressure game.
Yeah, totally agree. And it's that's one thing that I preach with anyone that we work with, is you can apply pressure not just by making moves, but with your guns, right? It was interesting. So there's I think they're called the Butchers. It's Matt Chim's team. It's a bunch of the old Naughty Dogs, you know.
Nice.
They got Mikey, Lou, Nelson, all the guys, right?
No way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. They've been
You
playing
played
this
with
whole
them,
season.
right, Ty?
Yeah, those are my dogs.
Nice.
Literally.
My guy. And it's funny watching them play because they just play that old school bomb paintball, right?
Yeah.
Like watching them from behind, they just don't stop shooting, and there's so much pressure. It makes it really hard for the other team. It makes it hard for the other team to communicate, to make moves, to, you know, if you put one of them in, another one takes over the zone, they talk well, you know, they don't have to make a ton of moves, but they're applying a ton of pressure. You know, it's a really important part of the game. Now, if you could do both, if you could be making good dynamic moves and applying a lot of pressure with your gun, I mean, that's when your team becomes really deadly.
Yeah, bombing.
Yeah, it sucks when all 5 guys on the other side are all doing that at once. There's just no way to release.
Yeah.
And so like that's definitely a lost thing, especially like guys that guys that are really good at fundamentals and they want that gunfight. A lot of times they like give up their pressure so that the other guy can engage with them because they want to shoot them. They're like, oh, I can't see you. Come out so I can shoot you. Let me shoot you. And but like when your pressure gets released, you get put in once and you're like, wait, why'd that guy get out before me?
That's right. That's actually something that I've been working on in my game specifically is I carry more paint than I ever have, and just bombing the field with as much paint as possible. Because I've always been a 1 or a 2, you know, and I'm playing that 2-3 and just having to lay a lot of pressure, and it helps out my teammates tremendously, right? And then I can get into my last 4 pods or a couple pods and go do the battle and get into those types of situations. But you guys are absolutely right. And shout out to the Naughty Dogs because they're supreme bombers, and they just bomb the field.
Yeah, it's definitely an art. And, you know, as a matter of fact, here's a hot tip too. Sometimes your game plan can be wrong simply because you have players that are not in position to bomb. you know, and I've recognized that as well. I've put together game plans where I'm like, okay, let's go up and we'll set a trap with this guy and put somebody in this really good spot. It's a really far dynamic spot that seems like it would apply pressure, but then you realize, okay, one person is just watching a zone, so they're not really doing much because they're waiting for someone to make a move, and another body has their head down. So now we're kind of playing 3-on-5. You know, and so positionally, we're just not in good position to see things and to apply pressure with our guns. Now the other team can make good secondaries, and we don't see it. You know,
that's right.
So you know, in game planning, I've learned that it's a really important thing too to make sure that across the board you have players in position to be able to apply pressure and see moves and, you know, have control of the field.
Yeah, that was actually another thing about that specific field layout that I really liked, because I feel like recently there's been spots where like only one position in the early game can really see if someone gets into the snake. And that sort of creates like a situation where now you're forced as a coach to put a player there every time, at least just for the eyes. And so like to have like multiple spots that front players have to deal with, or that, you know, coaches can sort of mix up where they're controlling that spot from, creates a little bit more of a dynamic. But like, I don't know if you guys remember, maybe it was a year ago, there was a layout where it was super dusty. I don't know if you remember that. There was a diamond.
Philly. Oh,
Philly.
Yeah, Philly.
Yeah. Where that snake cut was like a tiny little gap and only the back center could see it.
Yeah.
So like if he blinked for a second, like no one knew who was in the snake. Like I hate layouts like that. I'm like, okay, so you have to put a guy to watch this little cut. Like so those those open gaps force everyone to sort of use their fundamentals more and really play a 5-on-5 versus, you know, taking a body off the break right away because they have to watch this one little cut.
Totally. It comes down to us having too many of those big bunkers on the field these days. We talk about it all the time. I just wish they would take 2 of the 6. There's 6 big bunkers, you know, take 2 of them off each event, rotate which ones you want, but let's only have 4 of them on the field.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's some big coverage out there, and there's just moves being made that are really hard to track. You know, a lot of the times we have, obviously lots of teams have the calls for just like, they're somewhere in that pocket there. You know, we don't quite know where they're at, but they're in there. And if you don't have one of those calls, you definitely need it in today's modern, you know, game style. So the Dorito side at WCPPL looked really fun as well. What was the activity like on that out there, March?
Yeah, so the field was unique because it was really hard to get into the snake. So teams weren't even really trying to go on the break. You know, it was so shootable. Teams would run it once every 6-7 points. So sometimes not even in a whole match. And then the next match they would go once, or if they were down a bunch of points. But what ended up happening is that means that people are going to try to push down the Dorito side, right? And so focus shifted to the Dorito side. And then we started running to the snake, you know, and we started making it. And so it's always interesting when you have a field that plays like that, because it's hard to get into the snake. So people try to naturally attack down the Dorito side. It was much easier that was the side, if you wanted to run to the corner or to one of the Doritos, you would kind of be able to make it out there. But then that would shift another gun, like one of those wedges, or the back center player would have to look that way and try to contain. And so it opened up opportunity on the snake side. I thought that 50 tower on the Dorito side was like a spot that everyone wanted to keep going to.
Yeah.
But then they would get shot out of it. I'm like, stop going there, right? It's not better. It only go there to close out the game. It was so much better to stay in that big Dorito right behind it.
That's so
funny.
That's
and it's
exactly what I told my player playing the D side before we played on Sunday was that. I was like, and it's funny that it worked out that way there 100%. Too. Because I was like, if you go up there, you're risking it. This is nice.
You're risking it. Exactly. Like, you better know that there's nobody on this side of the field with you, and you could play the outside of it, you know? But yeah, I mean, it was the easier side to get out on, but it was still hard to get out over there. And that was the side where more people were actually getting shot off the break, but it's simply because people weren't trying to run on the snake side. At least for us, like really, people would rarely run to the corner, rarely run to the snake. Everything else was just that can and the wedge. They wouldn't even go to that little God bunker that much. You know, it was just so shootable.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So people were really content just kind of going to the wedge over there and that can and slow playing, and then maybe attacking down the Dorito side or through the middle. It got so scoutable that we were able to, in the finals, especially, we were playing Kansas City, the KC All-Stars, Missouri All-Stars, Todd Boyer's team. And it was that was so much the meta to where people weren't running on the snake side that they started ignoring the snake side, and they would only have one shooter who was going to the Dorito side wedge shooting that way. So I could see in the back center, they're not even lined up to look snake way. So if they lined up like that at the very last second, I would just yell an audible and have Ben run to the snake. And he made it every time that we ran it. There was a couple audibles where he would go to the snake or the snake corner. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Like you go the whole event, and that's when things open up. That's why anytime a field gets released and a side looks super slow, people are like, oh, the Dorito side is going to be the side. This is going to be the side that people win on. I'm like, the tournament's going to be won on the snake side, because everyone's going to do what they're going to do on the Dorito side, right? And that's going to be the meta. That's going to be the flow. The big important turning points are going to be won from the really hard side, right? You know, like you look back at when Mouse got the MVP with you guys in Orlando. That snake side was just so slow, so boring, hard to get into. If you did get in, it was rewarding, but it just, all the action was on the other side of the field. He ended up getting the MVP because the difference were the few points that were won on that side, you know, because those are the important ones. Those are the ones that that you're stealing from the other team, essentially. And I feel like that's exactly how this final match was. Is like we had a lot of action through the snake side in the final match, you know.
And it's tough for like some of those killers out there that are, you know, used to producing from those sides, and to be able to look at the event as a macro and be like, you know, eventually I'll have my time. Eventually I'll have my time. Right. And like really stay mentally present through that, because I know a lot of people that, you know, they get on that side and they're like, well, I'm just going to be sitting here the whole time. Yeah. Like, well, for now,
exactly.
We're going to need you.
Dude, Ben had a huge 1-on-3 in our last prelim match. Yeah, from the snake. It was against the NorCal Kings. We were 2-1 at this point. So we lost our third match. This was our fourth match. Both teams, it was whoever won this match was going to secure the 2 seed in our bracket. We're up 2-1 in the match as well. So our record was 2-1. We're up 2-1 in the match. It's a 3-on-3 and a bomb goes off. We get a penalty on the Dorito side. Ben like recognizes that, slips into the snake. They were in the snake 2, the Dorito side wedge, and one of the Doritos. Ben slips into the snake undetected and crawls all the way to the 50 right in front of the guy in the snake. And he's just listening to him. The guy in the snake is like looking inside and talking, shooting his gun. Ben's just posted on the wire listening. And I'm looking like, obviously I'm not going to blow the buzzer because we're up a point, but there is you know, when there's a lot of time in the match, I'm okay blowing the buzzer if you're only up 1 and you're down bodies, because the worst thing that could happen is you get a penalty with your last guy. You know what I mean? And so it's like, we're not going to kill the rest of the game clock, you know, so let's just get out of this one. But I saw like the way it was developing and they didn't know where Ben was. Like, man, if Ben could shoot the guy in the snake right in front of him, we have a chance at this. Sure enough, the dude like literally just comes and head checks on the wire. Ben connects on his first ball, shoots him in the face, immediately looks inside, catches the wedge over on the Dorito side. He was kind of clueless, shoots him. Now it's a 1-on-1, and the Dorito guy recognizes it, and they engage, and Ben wins the 1-on-1. We go up 3-1 with like little time on the clock. I was like, oh my goodness, dude, it's a huge moment. Like that's a big turning moment in the game, right? 3-1 versus 2-2 in a moment like that, like huge for sure. He was on fire this weekend. Kind of had him on both sides of the field. He was a total weapon. It was cool to see. Best paintball he's played, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a big statement.
I mean, he's growing, you know, he's definitely growing. He absorbs all the information and does a really good job of executing in the scenarios. Like all the stuff that we talk about and we try to preach, he really understands it and he showcases it in these events. He really does. I wish he would practice better. He's a terrible practice player.
That's all right. Most of them are.
It's crazy. I don't understand
like Dalty or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like as a coach, I only care you show up in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, you do have to get the trust to get there.
Totally.
You know, especially if you're playing on like a 10-man roster and it's like you have someone that can do the job as well as you, but like in practice you're not showing it, and so you don't get the chance. So like that is important too. But like the idea of all of those kids that we've been working with for a while now, and to see like how good they're getting, man, I'm stoked on it. Like
100%.
I think about them like as much as I think about my team sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
These kids are out
me
there
too.
practicing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Our starting 5 on Saturday was really young. So I think Adam was probably the oldest. He's one of the original LTZ guys, and him and Ben were by far the two most consistent and best players. Adam played lights out, but I think he's about 35 years old. And then we have Alex, who's 21, Ben, who's 19, Cam, I think, is 23. He's right in that range.
Sounds about right.
And Anton, I don't know how old Anton is. He could be 25, he could be 35. I'm not exactly sure how old Anton is, but it's a pretty young group right there. Three of the studs are really young, and it's awesome to see because these kids have, I mean, the sky is the limit. They have unlimited potential, and it's really cool to see them execute out there and continue to be hungry to get better too. They're having fun, enjoying the process and getting some wins, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure the pro division is going to hope that those people get dispersed when they're ready and they don't all end up on one group.
Yeah.
It would be like old Aftermath days.
I'm gonna try to hoard all of them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everyone should be trying to do that, but hopefully that makes them a little more dispersed.
Mm-hmm.
Who was in the top 4 for the premiere? It was you guys, Casey,
TJ Bastards, Casey, and Regime. Regime has Prince, Ryan Podesta, some old school kind of players.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And what did you guys think about the Hormesis event in Texas? So a bunch of the Texas Storm guys, semi-pro guys, went out, and from what I heard, they just stunted. And so, like, going back to our previous conversation of like that separation, from what I heard, Oliver had to like make a rule for some of these guys because they were crushing so hard. I don't know what the rule is. If someone could throw that up, send it to me, but. I think like what do you think about the semi-pro guys playing against D4, D3, D2 and one-on-ones over again?
In the joust? This is in the joust, or is this in the duel?
Both.
Yeah, so I am seeing a lot of people having the conversation of the duel should be by division. But I don't agree because that's not what Oliver is presenting it as either. He's presenting it as like, this is your now, I do think once it grows and if you can fill out each division, that's a different story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at that point you have different divisions, but I like that. Yeah. If you think you're good, I mean, if you're in division, if you play Division 4 and you're a legitimate Division 4 player, maybe the duel isn't for you. If you're trying to go and win 10 grand and you're trying to get, a berth at the final event to where there's like this big grand prize, well, then that's not what it is, which is totally fine. In the joust, I think that's cool too. I think it's cool that it could be a mix of everybody and it could be a learning experience. Like if you're in one of the lower divisions, it's your chance to go and play against better players and have better players on your team. So I think for what it is, it's been advertised as that as well. I don't see a problem with it.
I agree completely. I mean, I think it's the hardest thing in paintball is getting exposure to people that are in higher divisions. It's really hard for them to want to spend time. Everyone's wanting to spend time with people that are equally or above them in experience. And like, that's the game is. So like, if you have the opportunities, I agree. I think you take them.
Yeah. I agree as well. We saw a lot of that, especially when we were kids. I feel like there was a lot of opportunity to play against the pros, and just know, we get offered all the time for these coin battles, but I don't even like the whole thing. It's not about the coin to me. Like, if we're gonna play, let's just play for the love of the game. Let's play one-on-ones. Let's play paintball. You shoot me, I shoot you. We have fun and we learn from each other. It shouldn't be like this ego thing with like, give me your coin.
No, I want the coins.
Yeah,
I want you to have a vested interest in this match, and I want you to have a little extra pressure besides just like, well, I lost, like kind of being able to just brush it off. Like, I want you to have a little bit of a loss there, because like if you're gonna step up, it's either gonna motivate you more, and if you lose, it's gonna hurt a little bit more. Like the love of the game. I feel like I want to do that for the love of the game, but at the same time. Like, it's got to hurt a little bit either way if someone loses, because like then we're actually both bringing the game. Like, I might not even get fired up at all if we're just gonna shoot at each other. But like, if I'm gonna lose something too, then like I'm gonna try, and you're actually gonna play the best me.
Yeah, not everybody can get a coin. All I'm saying is play for the love. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Of course, yeah.
play paintball, enjoy the experience of it. And you only need 3 more coins for a headband, so I understand your journey. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
You're on that hunt for your 3
let's
more
go.
coins. So if anybody wants to challenge Nick and
fine dueler
and give him his 3 coins that he's looking for his fine dueler, he's ready.
I'm ready. I'm all takers. My only stipulations are, I have to have all my gear. I have to, and we're gonna play best 2 out of 3. Those are my only stipulations.
Boom, you heard it here. And he will
Nice.
probably take your coin.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Well, you got a black coin off of Oliver, right?
Yeah, that was
That's
pretty
an
cool. I've
epic
actually,
coin to get.
dude, super epic. Like going.
That's the coin to get.
It's the coin. And like I was thinking about like 12, 13-year-old me, like as a camper,
Yeah.
like looking up to someone like Oliver. He was someone that like, was obviously inspirational, not only in that time, but throughout. And so like, that was a mental preparation for me for sure, where I was like, dude, I want this bad, because I have challenged so many guys with black coins and all of them are like, no. But like much respect to Oliver, because he's like putting it out there for something that he loves. So he's like, I'll do it. And like a lot of people are afraid of that loss. And so like I definitely gained even more respect for him for even doing it, because like, it sucks losing.
Yeah,
and like, especially he's one of the guys that hates losing the most.
Yeah.
That's what like got him there. And so like, I was super proud of that. That's like one of the coolest things that I've done in my career. And so like, I think that, anyone who wants to get out there and like challenge someone, like go do it. Of course.
I love that about Oliver and Alex, and Alex too, like
Alex. Yeah.
Just being, and that goes for all of us as pros, being approachable, being someone that, you can go run around on the field and play this game that we've all fallen in love with and have no barriers. Cause I know when we were younger, like I was saying, we were able to run around with the pros. We were able to, watch them play paintball, learn things from them firsthand. And we got to make sure that, yeah, we got to make sure it stays alive though, and that, that it thrives and grows.
I've seen Alex play more one-on-ones than anyone. I think every time we practice Dynasty in Sacramento, Alex plays an average of 2 one-on-ones with some kids. And like, I just love it.
Yeah. He's the overlord. He's the coin overlord. So he's got to be out there, Yeah.
When you get a bank full of unlimited coins, it's pretty easy, Here you go. 2 for you, 3 for you.
I think Alex honestly just enjoys playing them. He's found this reinvigorated love for the game through Hormesis, which has been really cool to see. Because he wants to play all of us in one-on-ones. On the Thursday practice, like all he wants to do is play one-on-ones. It's before like nonstop before the coins. Yeah. And so I think the one-on-ones for him, I think he uses it as a way to obviously sharpen his own sword. But he really enjoys it. And it's cool. It's definitely cool because it's kind of inspired a lot of players to be able to, say, hey, I have this thing. And I get your sense of the coins, Tyler, but on the other end is it kind of empowers players. They feel like now that I have this coin, I can ask to play a one-on-one where, believe it or not, a lot of players are actually scared to ask us, not scared of losing, but they're intimidated to come up because they think it's like out of pocket. But if they have a coin, then it's like, no, these are the rules. Yeah. This is my excuse to come say, hey, can we play one-on-one? So there's both sides of the coin.
Absolutely. And,
as they'll say.
Jacob, speaking of Hormesis, the 1v1 at PB Fit. Yeah, that was good. I like that. Speaking
a little late.
Well, I wanted to make sure to highlight Jacob Johnson, who won the Texas Hormesis event.
Nice.
And he came out firing and was a stud out there. So big ups to Jacob, dominating in that format. And the video looks really, really cool of them just duking it out through these channels. The field looks like it's playing really fun. I'm very excited to finally at some point play on this wild layout because it just looks like a riot in there.
Dude, I mean, like, definitely props to him. I know how hard it is. And so, like, to play all of those matches back to back, that's like a serious feat. Like, regardless of what skill level you're playing against or you're playing at, like, those are long, hard matches, and there's no one you can lean on but yourself. So, like Jacob should be super proud of himself. His buddy should be patting him on the back. Like, that's a serious feat. So that's pretty cool.
Not easy at all.
Not easy.
One-on-ones in general are very trying.
Yeah, it's like, and I know why Frage likes it to sharpen his sword, because there's a little bit of like soul snatch involved there. Like when you beat someone in a one-on-one, you take a little bit of their power, and you know what I mean? And like you feel it when you lose it, and you got to like regrow it again. You know, it's like losing a branch of your tree. Like obviously it's not detrimental, but like you're like, oh God, I hated that. And like that can strengthen you in a lot of ways. So don't be afraid of losing them, because like, you know, they will grow back. It will grow back 100%. But
you'll be stronger.
You'll be stronger 100%.
Yeah, one-on-ones are mentally trying and physically trying. Especially, I imagine if you go in the deep waters in one of those matches and you're exhausted and you lose a point, like you have to go somewhere mentally to be able to pull yourself back, and that's going to make you a better player. If you can figure out how to tap into the right things during those one-on-ones, even if you lose the match, right? But if you can learn from it and grow from it and be strong in those moments, man, it's just going to make you a much better player, period.
It's crazy how paintball is like such a good relationship to life in general. And like, I know that's why we love it so much as a group, because it's, you know, taught us everything we know in a lot of ways. And like, everything's relatable to it. And like, I've played a lot of sports, and I've never really had those feelings in it, but like, there's so many lessons internally that you get from this game that just relate so much to everything you have to deal with.
So true. Yeah, we had a good conversation about that this weekend, actually, Nick. And because we were watching paintball and just talking about life in general, and it's like paintball is just a phenomenal microcosm of, you know, the bigger picture. All of these same facets really show themselves in paintball, with connection, communication, listening. You know, there's so many applying pressure on your dreams and making things happen, and, you know, heading in the right direction as a unit. All these things all apply when you step off the field as well. And congratulations to everybody who came out to the summer camp, who played in the WCPPL and placed out there. And then the Hormesis 1v1. And I think their next stop is out here in Arizona. I'm super bummed because I'm not going to be here this weekend. Me and Marcello are doing a PTG school in New Jersey, which we had planned long before the tour started. And so we'll be out there on the East Coast, but we'll be rooting for everybody out here in Arizona who's playing. And I do got to say, shout out to Pole Position. They took second place in D6 and third place in D5 in the WCPPL, and they've been working really hard. This is their first year as a team ever, so they're going for it.
That's super dope.
I got to give a major shout out to Pop's Tacos. I got the shirt right here. Hey. Sorry, I'm not wearing mine. So we got hooked up, one for myself and one for my girlfriend, Sahar, and I think she took mine. So this is the small one, so I couldn't wear it. I'm like, damn it, you took the wrong one. I was going to wear it on the show today, but Pop's Tacos is so legit. If you're ever out at the WCPPL, definitely get some of their food. He hooked me up with a whole bottle of salsa too. I don't know if you guys had the spicy green salsa.
Yeah.
Dude, you give me a whole bottle of it.
It's homemade.
It's homemade. Oh yeah, it is so good. Hold on a second. Let me pull it out.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like.
Pop's
Can we get it in
Tacos
stores or no?
It's on its way. Pop's taco sauce is on its way. But
dude, you know, like at breakfast and when we had taco night with Carmen, I'm like, yo, where's the hot sauce at?
Carmen didn't have hot sauce? Oh, this is...
No, he did. He brought it, but I'm a big hot sauce guy, so that's cool.
This is the best salsa that I've ever had in my life. It is so good. Yeah, and while we're on the food train, so yeah, shout out to Pop's Tacos. They crush. Yeah, absolutely love them. Give them a shout out. Their Instagram is world famous Pop's Tacos. Go give them a follow. If you guys have any events, you could hit them up as well. And while we're on the food train, it was a pretty big weekend for myself and the family as well. I was like, man, thank you, dude. It was an epic opening. My goodness. So we opened Slice House officially in Thousand Oaks Friday at 11 a.m.
Let's go.
Congrats, Marge. Absolutely slammed from opening until close. We actually ran out of dough late Friday night before closing. Saturday, same thing, slammed all day. And then yesterday, slammed all day again. I guess so the owner of the main franchise, Tony Gemignani, he's like the big dog, 4-time Guinness Book of the World. Yeah, 100%. He is so legit. Dude is awesome. He said we broke the record for most revenue on opening day, which is epic. At all the slice houses. So thank you to everybody that supported. I know a lot of the players at WC. Oh, shout out to Maggie too. Maggie, one of the OG goats. She brought a ton of slice house to the field on Saturday and was giving it out to all the goats, which was cool.
Wow.
I was really worried about really promoting and having people go over the weekend just because it was so busy. When we went, it was like an hour wait. I was like, damn, this is wild. And people were just enjoying, having fun. Like everybody was stoked to be there. But now that it's settled down a little bit, everybody, you guys probably won't have to wait in that kind of a line. So if you do want to check it out, Slice House in Thousand Oaks, the family would appreciate it. Some bomb pizza,
powerful
good
pie.
food. Yeah. Powerful pie.
Cool.
Yeah, it was epic.
Man.
So good weekend overall. You know what I mean? Couldn't ask for much more.
Oh yeah, you hit on all forces there, so that's really cool.
For sure.
Ty, I had a question for you.
Yep.
So when the moon was real crazy that night, I was like,
my
hey, Ty,
God.
you got to go look at the moon.
Oh, you guys saw a UFO.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got to talk about this. How did I not bring this up, dude? What?
All right, here. I got my tinfoil hat on.
What?
Put it on. You're going to need it.
What?
So, yeah, I don't know what I saw, but I think Nick might be a part of the aliens because he kind of directed me towards the moon. And then I saw something. It was kind of crazy. I was going to go and take a shower. And then I was like, there was just a long line. So I walked back. I was like, wow, the moon looks amazing. And then I went inside for a minute and I came back out and I looked up in the sky and I don't know what it was. And sound off in the comments if you have any idea of what I saw. But it was like this.
Don't say space link because it wasn't that. There's Sky.
Yeah, because we did check.
Starlink.
Starlink, that's what it is.
We checked to see where Starlink was, and it wasn't in our observable area. So we kind of were like curious, but it was like, I don't know, maybe 25 perfect little dots, and they were evenly spaced perfectly, and it was at like a 30-degree angle, tilted and super flat like a little pancake, and it was moving out towards outer space, and then it just vanished. It just got smaller and smaller, and
got like closer together, kind of.
Exactly. They all moved together, and then it was just gone. And I have no clue what it was, but I rarely ever say, "What is that?" When I look up at the sky. And it was one of those "what is that" moments.
Whoa, dude, what's going on?
So,
what's going on? None of you
can corroborate.
None of you got video?
No, it happened so fast. So I went out and I was looking at the moon, and then it was to the left of the moon, like maybe I don't know, just marginally left of the moon. Yeah. And I saw it and I was like, what in the heck is that? And it was tilted and flat and just like 25 stars that just started moving together. And then I went to get Kyle, and I was like, Kyle, get over here. There's something going on here. And by the time he got there, it was like already going and was like a line. The dots had kind of moved into like a line, but he is like, yeah. And he saw it moving out too. That was the cool thing, that he was able to see it like moving away, and then it just was gone. And then we were like, I don't know what that was, but you can see the YouTube, how my crooked tinfoil hat is right now. It's pretty much how it left me looking. Just like,
yeah, it shook you.
I was like, what was that? And
well, if you guys know what that was, sound off in the comments. Let's hear what your speculation is as well. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying it was anything. I just don't know. That's all I do know is I don't know. I just saw something.
They're coming back for you, Tyler.
I don't know, man. But then all this news, like, it's just crazy how that the news, like how they're talking about, they got ships and these things. And then I saw that, I was like, oh boy.
For them to say that they've recovered non-human biologics is kind of crazy from the crafts.
That's a big
kind of crazy. That's a big one. That's a big statement.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell does that mean? What do you wait? Can we get some more on there? Was it
psyop, guys? Don't worry about it.
It's just what?
Just the next psyop. Just keep riding the wave. Don't listen to anything.
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't believe it. Yeah, it's like, okay, this is all pretty advantageous timing to distract us from some stuff.
Well, here's the thing. the presidential election's coming up. I was like,
Coming up.
something's gonna happen. I was like, what's it gonna be? What do we
aliens. Unleash the aliens.
Just don't vote for them.
Dude, what if
Just
they
don't vote for
run?
the
What if
aliens.
they run? That'd be crazy. I mean,
Huh.
that would be pretty powerful. If they could have some good, stuff to bring to the table, why not?
How do we know they haven't already been in office?
Hey, buddy, take the
Tell 'em
tinfoil
in
hat
black
off.
1 through 3.
How do we know? I don't
Yeah,
know.
but that's our little tinfoil hat talk for the night.
Yeah.
And sound off in the comments if you know what I might have seen in
What
the
the
sky
heck
there.
was that?
Yeah.
Well,
Hey.
actually, you should be able to tell me. You're the ones that's working with them, right?
Yeah.
Nick.
I told you, brother. So that's harp lasers bouncing off the ionosphere.
Oh,
trying
harp
to get
music. Harp
No.
music.
Damn.
Well, I guess they do frequency stuff too, but
Yeah.
I saw briefly that we've been picking up this
radio frequency
like every 33 minutes or something like that.
for the
33.
past like
For the
15 years.
Yeah. Trip.
It's a pulsing radio frequency.
Trip. Yeah.
Space music.
It's like people are trying to. That's how we would communicate with other. That's what we do, right? So,
Yeah.
huh? And if we've been picking up for the last 20 years or 15 years, why are they just now talking about it?
No, they've said that for a long time.
Have they?
About that? Yeah.
Okay, it's just
radio
now.
frequency.
Yeah, I
but,
do feel like I've heard that before, but it's never been a story. I guess maybe it's timely to be a story.
It was
now.
the 33 that caught your ear. You're like, hold on, what?
That's right.
33? All right,
They're
everybody.
just bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Ty.
Yep, harmonize it. We have a big drop that's coming pretty soon. If you check out the YouTube, we got some PTG hats with the play
Sick.
the game on the side. We also have some shirts that are going to be dropping soon. So be on the lookout for all of that. That's going to be coming soon. And I don't know. What do you guys got? You got some plans for this weekend? What are you up to this weekend, Nick?
I'm doing a clinic at Precision Paintball in Delaware this weekend. So
Nice.
I will be out in Delaware.
There we go.
And that is a 2-day, Saturday, Sunday. I don't think that there's any spots left. So, but if you want to do tournament or if you want to do clinics, stuff like that, set them up with me. Hit me up on Nick Leival on Instagram and we can work it out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shout out to Delaware. I don't think I've ever been to Delaware for a clinic.
Dude, it's cool. I mean, the hard part is it's a little bit far. That's the hard part. But I mean, he's put so much work into the field, dude. It is pristine grass. He just added a skybox that's the entire length of the field.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's like a booth that you can go from corner to corner.
Whoa,
so,
that's sick.
Yeah, so I plan on doing
Damn.
a lot of stuff up there, and like there's just paintball's popping right now, and I think generally this is one team that plays together mostly with a few added, and so like I'm looking forward to working in their skill level and getting them that next dub.
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
it'll be like a whole group that plays on the same team that you're going to be working with. That'll be great.
Yeah.
There we go.
Delaware, the first state.
Yeah.
Is it
that's
really?
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting
First
fact.
state
I
ever.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Ooh, that sounds hard.
It's pretty hard. That was one of the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AKA reboot on your brainwashing.
Reboot, yeah. Facts.
This is the new software.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Wait. We gotta adjust this. Let's introduce this game that the adults will play to. Damn, dude. They're so on it. They are so on it.
You gotta give it respect.
Yeah, you gotta give it respect.
mad respect.
Yeah.
And then
10 steps ahead.
Prime Paintball in Alabama had some crazy grass too that I saw on a video when I think Hormesis was out there at Prime. That grass looked insane. I think it was like some type of a turf that they're growing. So it's cool to see paintball fields really caring about the playing surface and making sure that they have a nice place for people to play.
Oh, that's actually, it reminds me of a question that I floated to you guys, but I wanted to float to Marcello. So I have a theory that I've been seeing players that play on turf for practice, like almost exclusively. Like they have a really good turf practice field that a lot of times they're the players that are more likely to get injured when it comes to playing on grass.
Absolutely.
Because maybe it's a little more uneven, blah, blah, blah. And so like, if you agree with that, then like, how do we, like, what's the deal? Do we just need to demand like all tournament fields to be that much better? Or do we like, do we tell those players like you got to go play on some harder surfaces every now and then? Because when's the last time you've seen like a guy from Florida, one of those beat up fields, like go out and dislocate his shoulder?
Yeah, Nick, you make a fantastic point. And you can assess it usually when you're doing a clinic on the turf, because you can see that the fundamentals of people's dives or slides are a little lazy and they don't have good follow through, right? Where they get away with it on the turf because they slide easily, but on grass, you kind of stick. Like if your elbows are a little too far tucked in when you dive and you don't really extend that arm and have power, like through the arm that you're planting when you're diving, not planting, but landing on, I should say. And same thing, like with your slides, if you just kind of go from, your A position to the B position and just kind of plop down and are like, on one point with your knee on grass, you're going to dig in and then kind of face plant. So you can see on turf if the form or technique is going to translate to grass, but you're absolutely right. Turf is so much more forgiving. So if the fundamentals aren't good, as soon as those players go and play on grass, they are more likely to get injured. I don't know if we can demand, because certain places I think just really don't have a good climate. You don't have, can't really have grass. You could make the argument that it'd be better to play on dirt. I know growing up, we played on dirt. Seriously, it was dirt. It was dirt and
wood chips.
Yeah.
All the things.
I never had to play on wood chips, thankfully, but it was certainly dirt, and it was never an issue. We were playing so much paintball and it was really never an issue. I mean, you get some scrapes and stuff, but I feel like we really learned how to dive and slide and protect your body,
Yeah. I mean,
we were talking about some of the players that just keep doing it. Like Ryan and I were talking about that, and like Billy Bernaccia came up. That guy just keeps doing it, and he's had to have dove into a snake a million times at full speed.
Dude, who was I just having this conversation with, man? I swear this week at like Saturday, we were just talking about Billy. Like, how is he still throwing himself into the snake at full speed?
And that's why I bring up Matt's Outback, because that was a field in Connecticut, and I know Billy still plays there from time to time, but I'm not even kidding. It's wood chips. And so like, you better be doing it right. And you better be knowing how to hit the ground. And so I don't know, maybe like this is a theory, obviously, but like that part of his training sort of got him ready to dive on anything.
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you on that. Yeah, players that you'll see too. They also you'll see it translate poorly, like how they crawl down the snake. Stuff like that. They'll like kind of push their butt up and have their arm extended and just kind of do that scoot thing that like is just so disgusting. I hate when I see players do that. Their packs in the air and I'm like, that's not going to work on the grass that you're going to compete on. Just like learn how to actually crawl, earn it, and don't cheat the system. But I don't know that there's a fix. Just being more mindful of the fundamentals is important for us to, relay.
That's right. Yeah, you got to have it dialed in. And obviously players like Billy have that dialed in where they can just send it on anything. And I know that like
he's made
Marcello,
of cheese. That's what we were saying. He's made of cheese, dude.
Yeah. When we were kids, we played on
the moon.
On dirt. Yeah. Moon cheese. We played on dirt and that was just our surface and
dirt.
That's why when I hear people complain about anything these days, I'm just like, I had no elbow skin. Every weekend. Like I literally had just the worst wrecked elbows and knees all the time. Didn't matter pads. It wouldn't survive long. You would have to like get new ones because you'd rip through them because the surface was just so bad. So obviously there are certain things that we have to make sure we don't want people getting injured and mitigate all that. But we have it better than ever in this current day and age. And you have to make sure you work on those fundamentals that we all talk about at the, clinics that you go to or any of the videos. We have tons of stuff in BKI or even just asking us online, you can message us, be like, yo, help me figure out how to slide. Because as a community, we're all going to support each other and make sure we can have long careers and do it properly so we don't hurt ourselves.
Because even that Philly event that we were talking about earlier, where the
Yeah.
grass hadn't grown in yet,
Right.
I know there was a huge hoopla about like, oh, there's no grass, blah blah blah. But I know in the pro division, everyone's just like, it is what it is. And,
Yeah,
and
for
I think
sure.
that might come from just that. Like, I mean, we've all played on worse,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah.
lot of people are lucky enough to have not played on worse.
I didn't think it was that bad. The Philly event, I
No.
really didn't. I kind of liked it. Again, like that dirt is, I would prefer that over turf, actually, because
I agree with
you have traction, and I know how to slide and dive, so I was never concerned about that, And then most important is you have traction. I can't stand on turf not having great traction. That to me is like, for me personally, that's my biggest gripe with turf fields.
Mhm.
I would rather sacrifice everything else to have traction. I want my footing,
Mhm.
And it's interesting with like hormesis doing that one-on-one that sort of emulates the way that tennis works. And I know
Yeah,
that tennis
totally.
is big on different surfaces. And so
Mhm.
I wonder if it would be interesting to do, different surfaced events and like
Right.
highlight that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is
Agreed.
the turf end is well,
This
maybe
is
avoid
true.
clay. We'll just say the dirt event.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
might be interesting to sort of
Yeah.
like see how players are interacting with those surfaces.
It
And
brings
like,
a whole
That's
nother
great.
element. Yeah, like the Philly event was cool because you could see when people dove into the snake. You only had that sliver, but you would
Mhm.
look for the dust.
Yeah.
You would look for the dust. And then there was also like people were starting to play some tricks and throw pods, and it would get the dust like in that snake, and they would still be
Mhm.
in the spot right behind it, And so like there were all these, things that you could do, or you could slide into a spot and then like kind of crawl back. It's another element, right? And it is
Another
kind of
element
cool
for
that
sure.
it's like, okay, when we go to Philly, we got to play on this surface, and there's like a few
Mhm.
things that are a little different about the game.
And like I think about the future of like combine stuff. Like, I mean, we do so much time trials and stuff like that.
Right.
It'd be interesting to be like, well, this guy, he's so fast and good on turf. But when you put him on dirt, his speed gets cut in half and like his
Yeah.
injury level gets higher. Like, I don't know, it
Yeah,
just adds
yeah.
complexity, which is
Yeah.
fun.
I'm
Yeah,
with
and
you,
we
dude.
see that with the tennis matches as well. And
Mm-hmm.
it'd be fun to have that implemented and have all those different styles played out on those surfaces. Before we let everyone go, we're heading out to France at the end of next month. So if everyone would head over to teamusapaintball.com and support the men's, women's, everybody that's going to be going out there to play in France. You can go over there, and actually I have a couple jerseys that are up in there that will help fund Team USA stuff. So, and I think there's several other ones in there as well, but you can head over there and support Team USA at teamusapaintball.com. We're really looking forward to heading out there with the crew and playing some paintball in Europe pretty soon.
Yeah, and that stuff like directly funds the USA stuff, and it's awesome to sort of like keep getting USA teams out there and representing, and so like be a part of it, be a part of it, be proud of it, and like you know that you get a sweet Tyler Harmon jersey, and I saw them this weekend, they look really cool.
Yeah, they are
But then you
badass.
also know you help one of those U16 kids who doesn't have a job also be able to eat while he's in France, because otherwise he's going to go starving. He just gets paintballs. I
He
already know
just
that.
gets paintballs. Jeez, dude,
Yeah.
you're gonna put that on everyone? Damn, Nick, that's heavy.
Keeping it real, baby.
Yeah, buy a jersey, otherwise they're gonna die.
For 10 cents a day, you can support a USA player.
Yeah, man. Well,
Damn it.
help out, help us out, help
Yeah.
the cause, and keep having fun out there playing paintball. And once again, Marchie, congratulations
you, brother.
on the big
Yeah,
win
man.
and the grand opening. Go support
Thank you.
Marcello.
Yes.
Crushing,
Get the
baby.
pizza. Let's go.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, and Nick, thank you, brother. Always a pleasure to have you on, man.
Always.
The PTG alumni, we love you. Everyone
Yep.
thanks you, and we.
I just like hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, know
Well-
that's what it is. I love it. I love
He had his play on player shirt on yesterday.
I did.
One of the OG shirts. I
Oh,
was like, okay.
nice. We
Sunday was a
gotta
PTG
send him.
shit day.
Yeah, we gotta send him some of the new stuff.
Yeah, I got a brand new hat and shirt heading your way.
Let's go, baby.
Yep.
Nice.
We'll wrap it.
All right,
Hell yeah,
boys.
brother.
Have a good day.
Cool. You guys too.
Appreciate everyone.
Peace,
See you.
brothers.
Everybody.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you would like to support the show, please head over to ptgpaintball.com. Click the Patreon link in the upper corner. It's the orange tab. Sign up, become a supporter at any level, and get access to the Discord. The Discord is an amazing platform that you get to interact with Tyler and myself. You could ask questions on the show, build a community, whatever it is that you want to do in there, we've got it. If you want to get better at the game, this is definitely the spot to do so. You guys can get a 7-day free trial just in case you want to check it out and see if it's for you. Bop in and see if you want to stick around. Other ways you could support the show, use code PLAYTHEGAME with any of our sponsors. Hopefully, you can show our sponsors that we do bring value to them, and you can enjoy some product that Tyler and myself also enjoy. All right, everybody, as always, we will see you very soon.